Did you know the world is upside down? I guess I better hold on. Now and then I turn my head around, 'cause I'm waiting just for you. And I've been hopelessly shaking, I'm anticipating the news. Actions that are spoken inside out. I guess I get a ray gun just so I can save me from these crimes. In these serrated times, I am dragging back to blue. And I am hopelessly shaking, I'm anticipating the news. Upside down. Did you know the world is upside down? 'Cause I'm waiting just for you. And I'm hopelessly shaking, I'm anticipating the news. A girl named Billie Jean. I'm wondering if she made it down to New Orleans. Oh yeah, I'm wondering if she made it down to New Orleans. Oh yeah, I'm wondering if she made it down to New Orleans.
So I'm planning to drive a car across the country using nothing but biodiesel. So the idea is starting in Northern, which is about here, and drive over to Canberra, which it's about, or it's almost exactly 4,000 k's to travel to Canberra, and I will be going through Melbourne. This is the first step to make biodiesel. You've got to filter out all the crap. And that is the crap that comes out of chip oil. First step. So I've currently made 2 cans of clean chip oil. But then after this, what you got to do is you got to get marine filters with water separators, and you filter it through, and they filter this down to 10 micron. So this is filtered. Now, I have not been able to get the amount of biodiesel I wanted to get. I've only been able to get about 260 litres of pure biodiesel. It will be mixed in with regular diesel, as this is what I always do with the biodiesel, so that the diesel has some cleaning products in. Because if you run pure biodiesel, over time it will clog up your injectors even if it is properly filtered. So I'm going to be mixing it probably maybe 20 to 80, so 20% diesel, 80% biodiesel. And that should get me, in theory, to Melbourne on nothing but biodiesel. But due to wanting to go the whole way to Canberra on biodiesel, I'm going to have to probably mix later on maybe up to 50-50 ratio of diesel to biodiesel, but it will still be driving across the country on biodiesel. My vehicle is a Sanion Ute, which is powered by a Mercedes diesel OM602. That car from factory is claimed to have a fuel consumption of 9 litres per 100 kilometres. So if that were the case, it would take me 300 litres exactly to get to Melbourne, and to get to Canberra 360 litres. So I'm going to have to mix it down a little bit because I was unable to obtain enough biodiesel. So, has anyone ever driven across the country on biodiesel? It has been done before, from what I can find out. Someone rode a motorbike across the whole country in 2014. I cannot find out if anyone has ever driven across the country on biodiesel in a full-size motor car. So I might be the first to do it, but I'm not sure. Chances are someone else has already done it and just not told or not publicly done it. So the plan of this trip, it's going to take maybe a couple days. So the plan is to leave Northern on the 10th and get to Canberra on the 20th of February 2024. Will this happen? Only time will tell. But it should be interesting. The car might not even make it. For all I know, the motor might blow up. It might clog the fuel pump. If the motor blows up, I'm going to sell it in whatever town I end up in, and I don't know, catch a bus back or something. I don't know. Hopefully it will make it. I'll be stopping over in some cool places along the way. Whoever's watching this movie will get to see some of the amazing sights Australia has to offer, which I've never seen before. I've never gone across the country before. So in the early days of Australia, they had something called reliability trials, where they would trial cars, which at the time were experimental and new, by taking them on crazy long distances, and they'd write about them in the newspaper. Like someone would say, I'm going to drive from Perth to Melbourne, or I'm going to drive from Perth to Adelaide, or Adelaide to Sydney, or Melbourne to Sydney, or something like that. And back in these days, like, the cars would get heaps of flat tyres. The cars were very experimental. This is like 1900s sort of thing, maybe even to 1910s. And Australia was not full on east-west crossed up until the 60s, when the Leyland brothers did it full on longest distance, as in furthest point of west coast to the furthest point on the east coast, which is Byron Bay. But this is going to sort of be like one of those trials. Take an experimental car across the country. I don't know what's going to happen. It might blow up, it might not. I don't think it's going to blow up. It's got experimental fuel. All the fuel I have made myself from things you can get from local pubs and fish and chip shops and cafes, things like that. It's chip oil mixed with a few other things. So this here is the chip machine, where probably 2/3, if not 3/4 of the chip oil used to power the car across Australia has come out of. Inside is basically oil, and it's a cleaner because it hasn't been used. It only got changed a few days ago, but basically it gets used for a few weeks and then gets chucked in the car and converted. There's one of these. These are what the chips sit in, and that gets dumped into the chip oil, and they boil in there, and all the bits of crappy chips go and make the oil worse and worse until eventually it's no good to use for eating. But when it's no good for use eating, that's very good because it means it's good to use for making fuel. So that is cool. And that is the chip oil. It's a very sort of controversial thing. People either think it's cool or they think it's dumb. And people don't seem to not care. They always have an opinion, which is interesting. I think it's cool, but a lot of people think it's dumb. But not everyone. A lot of people think it's cool as well. It's sort of, I don't know, probably like 60% of people I've told about think it's cool and about 40% think I'm just absolutely stupid. What do you think of the ship oil biodiesel?
I think it's really cool. Super useful. I like things that are cheap, so smart, and it does the job really well.
So I might be stupid. This will find out. If it doesn't make it across, then I am stupid. If it does make it across, then it's not stupid, or maybe it still is stupid and it just by some fluke actually worked. We'll find out. So this is the vehicle that'll be taking the trip across the country. Sangyong Maso, powered by a 2.9 litre Mercedes OM602 diesel, turbo diesel. This car has been driven on biodiesel for a fair amount of time at this point, and as you can see in the rear, in the tray, there's a 44 gallon which has been filled up with biodiesel, which I've already made and filtered, so it's ready to go. It will be along the way mixed with regular diesel. And also some extra cans of biodiesel. The tank is also filled with biodiesel. Inside, the car has been modified for the month or so by removing the passenger seat and adding in plywood. So basically that piece there sits down on this and the bed folds down. Now the car's got a 5-speed manual, loads of food and just regular camping stuff, plus all of my sister's stuff, which is what I've got to take to Canberra, and a guitar. I've also brought along a whole lot of extra filters, about 4 filters. So Sam, you work at the Grass Valley Tavern, you are the manager. What do you think of driving a car across Australia on homemade biodiesel?
I'm excited for you, Matt, that you've come up with this adventure and endeavour to prove the viability of using biodiesel to travel any distance, and in this case a long distance. We've been really happy to sponsor you in taking our oil and converting it so that you can use it for this journey, and we wish you all the very best, and we can't wait for you to get home and tell us all your stories. I think with the economy the way it is, and people not being able to afford in some cases basic living, I think they'll be forced to do this. I think the negative of it is the downside, and making sure that they're aware of the on the engine, the impact on the engine, and the cost down the line, so that they don't put themselves in a position where they might save $1 now, but they might incur greater costs down the line, and they need to be able to plan for that. But it'd be fantastic if they understood that and embraced it, and then each household can be self-sufficient. The weather that we are enduring at the moment, up to degrees of 46.1 in Northam last week, and we're heading towards that again. You're heading across the Nullarbor and you'll be encountering 50 plus. How does that how does that work in with your biodiesel? Does that have any impact on the efficiency?
Well, the hotter the better, because the hotter the heat is, the thinner the fuel becomes. So this is the best time of year to be driving across the country. If I lived in Canada or something where it's absolutely freezing, it'd be a lot harder. It might not even be possible to do it in this car because the fuel gets a lot thicker at like negative temperatures, and even if it was 10 degrees, it'd be a lot more work for the fuel pump.
And does the car have a name yet?
No, the car doesn't have a name. Do you want to name it?
Ah, here's a chance. Here's an opportunity
To be on record.
Yeah, be on record. I don't know.
It's got to be a girl's name.
A girl's name?
It's got to be a girl's name.
Oh, I love it. Alrighty. Annie?
Okay, Annie it is.
Annie. There you go. Annie it is. All right, Annie. Well, we wish you luck with Matt going across the Nullarbor.
I know that there's a real bad karma between you and me and my armor. I hope that maybe we'd recover, if not for you, for sisters and brothers.
This was the location of the rabbit-proof fence, which is the longest fence in the world, which was built in 1901. And behind is the longest pipeline in the world, the C.Y. O'Connor pipeline, which was built by C.Y. O'Connor, and he went to the beach and killed himself on a horse about 3 weeks before the pipe started work, and at the time it was the most expensive project ever undertaken by the Commonwealth. So I'm just out there and I've covered about 250 k's so far, no worries with the car. It runs beautiful, you wouldn't even know it's running on biodiesel. So over here, this is like a ghost town, used to be a town. There's all these like cactus succulent plants, which are really big. There's like a truck loading ramp over there, and C.Y. O'Connor pipeline. There's a truck over there too somewhere, an old truck. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Here is a derelict house. Gonna find out what's inside. Hopefully not just asbestos. And there's a petrol station. This is just on the side of the highway. It's like a sort of ghost town with only one house and a few remains of other houses. So, will it be haunted? It's disgusting. Oh, it's like a full-on meth house. Yuck. Okay, leaving Coolgardie. I spent the night here. On my way to Kalgoorlie. I'm going a long way because I want to go through Kalgoorlie. The easiest way is to go right there. But where's the fun in that? I'm going to go the long way. Way out the back of Coolgardie, around the turn of the century. That's a Cold Chisel reference. So this is currently about 25 k's north of Norseman, and here is a massive salt lake which I forget the name of, which I just drove past a sign which said the name of it, and the railway runs down the middle, and you can see the further it goes, it's so far away the horizon mirrors itself, so when you look long enough away things will mirror themselves. I don't know why. My sister knows all about this. She'll love this. See how far I can zoom in on the horizon. It's the horizon. Truck's going fast, and there's the ute, still running on biodiesel, homemade fuel. Hasn't broken down, hasn't had any problems yet.
Man, I'm just fucking waiting for a mate down here.
So this truck came the whole way off the road and hit another truck and made a whole path right through the scrub. So this car has jumped off. This is how to make lunch when you're on the road. You get a can and you just crack it so it doesn't explode and build pressure up. And then just put it in there. And go for a drive, and after a few minutes it'll be ready to eat. And that is how to make some really nice engine brake cooked tin spaghetti. So it's not what a chef would make, but it's really good for, you know, making stuff without having to go to the effort of getting out the gas cooker and setting it up and all of that. You just put in the motor and it's good to eat. So, cheers. Tastes good. So this is how you refuel it. Have the pump there. That's the refuel pump that leads to the motor, battery, so 90 miles straight, which is Australia's longest straight road, which is pretty cool. 90 miles dead straight. I haven't done it, I'm just about to do it. But yeah, I won't need to worry about not having power steering for the next 90 miles. Oh yeah. I should have got the tripod. Just buried under all the shit. I gotta cut that out. Have a look at this sunset. How good is that? That right there has got to be $1 million sunset. You can't pay for stuff like this. So, I forgot that the sun sets later because I've got a lot further over east. I'm still in Western Australia. So, the town I was meant to make it to, which I forget the name of yet again, started with a C, I was unable to get there because the sun has set already. So, camping on the side of the road in the parking bay. But that's good because it's free. So yeah, today used 1.5 tanks of biodiesel, and we'll hit the border tomorrow. This is Madura Pass. It's a bloody beautiful lookout. All that is just like the flat nullarbor there, and this is sort of raised. I don't know if the camera will see, but there's like a raised section there. $1 million view, just filled up here with fuel, free fuel, so 120 bucks for free, $1 million bucks for free. That's pretty good. Can't complain with that. It's so good out here. Ever get the chance, come out here and check it out because it's good. Here's the ute at Madura Pass lookout. I thought I'll just get a better view of this lookout because it's such a good lookout. It's genuinely really good. Check out that. That is absolutely insane. It's one of the best lookouts I've seen in my life. Get to the border by today. And that's the ute running on biodiesel. Still no problems, other than the thermostat. The thermostat took like half an hour to open today, so I might have to change it when I get to Adelaide. Other than that, it's running beautiful. Oh, and the aircon that I just got regassed to stop working as well, but that doesn't matter because that won't stop the car. First breakdown on the nullarbor. It appears that the car isn't revving past 2.3 thousand RPM, and yeah, it can't get past about 93k an hour, so I'm guessing the fuel filter's blocked. So I'm going to put a new fuel filter in and see what happens. Looks like he's blowing a head gasket or something, blowing heaps of smoke. Anyway, this thing, turns out the problem was a blocked fuel filter. So it's got a new fuel filter in it, works good. Then it had a vacuum leak, which turned out to be this line that was split so the motor wouldn't turn off without stalling it. So now that's fixed, and now that's fixed. It's time to get her back on the road and hopefully make the border in about 200 k's. So I've made it to South Australia, whole way from biofuel. Only two problems have happened so far, which is the fuel filter blocked and the vacuum hose cracked, which was not related to biodiesel, except it sort of was because I had to move it to get to the diesel fuel. But yeah, South Australia, there's a checkpoint right there. That is, so you only have to go to the checkpoint if you're going to WA. South Australia doesn't care, so Western Australia is more like the East Germany and South Australia is sort of like the West Germany if they were Germany. of course not that bad, but you get the point. I don't have to go through it except on the way back. Housing's running good. And next stop will be, I can't remember, Nullarbor Roadhouse maybe. I hope I got phone reception here because I haven't had phone reception for about 2 days because I've driven through all the towns that had a problem. But yeah, get going. That's the border village. That's the nice sign, windmill there. I guess there's no grid power and everything would have to be made from the windmill. There's a roadhouse. Like truck parking lot. It's pretty cool, but car's still running good. Great Australian Bite in South Australia. Look at that for a view. It's absolutely insane. It's the Great Australian Bite. Stand on there. Gotta be $1 million view. Big rock pile thing. Not sure what it's for. Start with the Nullarbor Plain, which is Nullarbor Road. And the ute one of the trim pieces fell off when I passed a road train and is somewhere just past the border town on the South Australian side. Other than that, she's going good. That trim piece there is gone. No, she's a good ute. A lot of people like to tag the signs with stickers and stuff like that. But that one I know. She's a, I've seen her at the pub before. Musician, pretty good country musician. Obviously, people who have businesses or bands and stuff. So we're right there. So far have done this far. I'm planning by the end of the day to get to maybe there or possibly there and on. This seems to be, by the looks of the satellite, where the farmland starts. Sejuna's the end of the Nullarbor, I think. So, see what happens. So, ute there. That's Nullarbor Roadhouse. Over here is the old roadhouse with an old Bowser. Yeah. Roos and wombats and camels around here. Here is the old Nullarbor Roadhouse, which is pretty cool. There's an old petrol Bowser. It doesn't actually have the price of the fuel, but back in the day it would have been pretty cheap, but not as cheap as homemade fuel, which is free. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Old water tank. There's a history of the Nullarbor. And there's, I'm not sure what this is, some sort of horse-drawn cart or like, I don't know, thing. This is pretty cool. My family went across, before my time, my family went across from Melbourne to Western Australia when they arrived from Germany, and they took a Valiant AP6 station wagon across the Nullarbor. And here at the Nullarbor Roadhouse is a picture of a Valiant. This is an AP5 station wagon, safari wagon. But gee, that's pretty cool. What are the chances of that? Here's an old wagon, and behind is the Nullarbor, just like no trees as far as the eye can see. Station. There's a fiberglass whale. Trucks been parking up here.
'Cause you know that's not you. Don't tell me what to say. 'Cause you know I go with you. Don't tell me who to see.
Caravan park meal. Don't have to use an engine to heat it up this time. It's just beans, not beans, beef and green beans. It all tastes beautiful. And they have a great barbecue here, but it's out of gas. So this is what I've done for the temporary thermostat issue fix. It might work. In Canada and places where it's really cold, they block off portions of the radiator. Not something you should have to do in the hottest continent in the world, in the hottest part of the hottest continent in the world, at the hottest time of the year, but with a thermostat jammed open, it takes forever to warm up. So when it warms up, I'll just take it off. But yeah, let's see. If it works, it might just rip the rag off. It's wired up, fencing wire. This is Australia's largest windmill. It's 35 feet across in diameter, so it's about 10 metres or so. Yeah, it was in Penang. They've got this windmill collection. They've got all these other windmills too. So someone is a big fan of windmills. Yeah. It was originally used on a railway line, this big one, according to the sign. I haven't read the signs on the little ones. But yeah, it's pretty cool. That's my biggest fan. That's a terrible joke. Yeah, there's a very tall one there. I don't know if that's the tallest one, but pretty cool. So I have made it to Ceduna, past the Nullarbor. Here's the airport. Car has had no trouble crossing the Nullarbor, so I'm pretty happy with that. So Port Augusta today, maybe even Adelaide. Let's see what happens. About, I don't know, 50 k's out of Ceduna. Pulling over for lunch. One thing Adelaide, South Australia doesn't have, like picnic tables and bins in their parking bays and rest stops. WA does, so that's one thing Western Australia's got over South Australia. Having beans for lunch today and breakfast because I didn't have it. Yeah, Port Augusta. What's the next stop? Not far. And this is the town of Poochera, which has the word poo in the name, funnily enough. And this is called the dinosaur ant, which is meant to be the oldest type of ant that's still alive. Yeah. So apparently they've been around since before the dinosaurs. This one's made out of concrete and steel. And they've got all sorts of old farming machinery around. which is pretty cool, and I won't video these because you'll get bored to death. But yeah, it's still going good. Don't know if I'll make Port Augusta, might only make Kimber. Got too distracted checking things out. But anyway, this is Peter's Humpy. A Humpy's like a dirt floor house, and it's been made out of old Kero tins around the turn of the century, the 20th century. You can see they're branded shell made in Australia, but yeah, they're flattened out and turned into like roof tiles, which is a pretty cool use for old Kero tins. And that one looks to be made out of 44-gallon drums. I wonder if the same guy built it, I don't know. Inside is an old workshop with some very old tools and an anvil. Oh, look at the old bellows, I think they call them. Yeah, pretty cool. This is the gate to the old dingo fence or dog fence. World's biggest galah at Kimber, big fiberglass thing. And halfway across Australia. Halfway to Canberra, I guess. I don't know if it means the coast. If so, then more than halfway for me. Big wind farm that I presume is Port Augusta. Still on my way there. This campsite for today in Port Augusta Caravan Park. The most expensive caravan park I've stayed at so far on the trip. There's the mountain range in the background. It's the ute. Still working. Yeah, so Adelaide tomorrow. Probably stay today in Adelaide and check it out. And after that, it'll be Melbourne. And after that, it'll be Canberra. Got about a third of my fuel left. I'm probably going to have to mix it 50-50 for the last leg because otherwise I'll run out. Currently it's mixed about 25 to 75. Port Perry, Australia's 10th shittest town for still being shit, according to the Shit Towns of Australia Facebook page. It's a joke. But yeah, I'm almost at Port Perry. And this is the road from Port Augusta to Adelaide. Car's still running good. Here's Loch Ness Monster, made out of tractor tyres. And this lake is about 150k north of Adelaide, Big Salt Lake. There's also a goat's head, which probably got killed from being hit on the car by a car on the highway. The highway's just up here. These plants here, you can actually eat. They're good bush tucker. You find them near salt lakes. So yeah, have a bit and eat it. Does not taste as nice as the ones you get in WA. No way. That is very... yeah. The ones in Western taste a lot better. But yeah, good okay taste. You can eat them. So, here's another Loch Ness Monster. Made out of... I can't see what it's made out of. Probably tyres like that one. lake has the funniest name. Lake Bumbunga. So this is Port Adelaide. Same place as Port Power. Footy teams from. It's the coast. Cars are on the wood. In Adelaide. Okay, so I was running low on fuel and I had maybe about a third of the drum left. I'm only in Birdwood, which is half hour out of Adelaide. And I've still got 1500 k's to go, and I only had a third of the drum, which is about 60 litres, so, plus about half a tank of fuel, so all up 110 litres, 105 maybe. So what I've done, I've cheated. It's now going to be running 50-50 mix, so I've added regular diesel to the drum, so now it's 50% diesel, 50% biodiesel, as of the tank. So I've made it to Adelaide on basically 2080, so 20% diesel, 80% biodiesel, but from Adelaide to Canberra will be 50-50 mix. Just because I've used up too much, I've gone on detours and I calculated I needed 300 litres. I needed to mix like 20%, but it seems to have used too much up. So I'll still be doing the trip in biodiesel, 50-50 mix. It's still running the car at half cost, but it's not the 2080 that I thought was ideal. The car does, I think, between 8 and 9 litres per 100 k's, which is really good. It has been modified slightly to get better economy, and these big Nullarbor trips that got the economy down to real low, because it was just sitting on 95 and just cruising, low RPM. Yeah, it was really good economy. Coming up the hill just out of Adelaide was not fun, very slow. Hydrogen, biodiesel is slower than regular diesel, and the car's slow as it's come. The car is slow straight off the bat, so it wasn't fast. I had to pull over and let people pass multiple times. But yeah, this drum should now get me to Canberra on a 50-50 mix. Still crossing the country on biodiesel, but 50% biodiesel from Adelaide on. So all depends on the ratio. Ideally, if I could get more, I couldn't, but it is what it is. Let's see what happens. You never get this on camera, but this stuff smells so good when you pump it in. It's like a bloody fish and chip shop. There's a bit of a view of the setup. It's just a little, it was a $150 pump online. It's always good to check the oil level with the car every day. So far I've put about 3 litres of oil into the car on this trip, which has been about 2.7 thousand kilometres so far. So that's, I mean, it does leak, it shouldn't use that much, but this is an old motor running on chip oil mixed with diesel, so biodiesel. But yeah, that's almost used. I only had half the bottle in that and probably used most of it up, so I might have to buy some more oil when I get to Melbourne. But that'll probably get me across the country. I've got a few more k's to go, maybe 3 days worth of driving, all up to get to Canberra. Currently staying at Mount Pleasant Caravan Park, and I am right next to a little creek, which is good because it looks cool, but also bad because at night mosquitoes will be everywhere because I'm parked right next to it. But anyway, hopefully they don't come out and there's not many. I bet there'll be heaps, but National Motor Museum of Australia. It's made it this far. Currently at the National Motor Museum in Birdwood, South Australia. There are some absolutely amazing cars here. Coupe 60. Everyone knows about this car. This is the last Holden they ever made. How cool is that? This is the Fairlane from Bush Mechanics. It still exists. Lehman Brothers Land Rover. I'm currently in Keith, South Australia, and here is a Land Rover on a pole. It's a Series 1 Land Rover. It's a bit of a tourist attraction, which is pretty cool. It was put here to commemorate a land development scheme, AMP land development scheme. So I think that's like, I'm not sure if it was developing it for housing or for farmland, but that is the reason why it's here. So the AMP scheme was trying to develop desert into agricultural land, and I guess it worked. They went to the effort of putting Land Rover on a pole for it. These bricks, my grandpa made the mould that made these bricks. So they're all over Australia. They were originally made in Jandakot, Western Australia at Castle Bricks. Victoria! She's made it that far. So, I came from down that way in, they had Border Town there, and Border Town I thought would be on the border, but no, the border is here. As you can see, there's a 100 limit. That's because the state limit in Victoria is 10 kilometres less than than Western Australia and South Australia, where it's all 110. Northern Territory's got 130. But yeah, car's still running good, with the exception of this thermostat, which I'll probably have to fix when I'm in Melbourne, which is okay because there'll be lots of things like car parts in Melbourne, because there's a big population in Melbourne. Yeah, car's been running good. Got enough fuel, I think it's 50-50. Feeling very victorious now. Only 2 more states to go, or 1 more state and 1 more territory to go after this. South Australia, Victoria. South Australia, Victoria again. Yeah. Gonna get some tin hot dogs to eat. It's gonna be a good dinner tonight. I'm currently in Carniva, South Australia, and they got this painting on the silo, which looks pretty cool, of an eagle. The other good thing, look at that, I don't have to pay nothing on biodiesel. How good's that? You got a roadhouse here, and they also got a painted sheep. $3,000 kilometres so far. Now why the hell would you pay for a powered site at a caravan park when for half the price you can get an unpowered site and use the power plugs in the kitchen? And then you can run your computer and charge it. This is Ballarat. This is one of the first, if not the first place gold was discovered in Australia. I don't think it's the first, I think it's maybe the second or something, off the top of my head. The car has had some troubles. The clutch is starting to be a bit funny, which is not good. And the thermostat is still going really bad. I will fix that in this town, hopefully. If not, Melbourne is only about 100 k's away, so I'll definitely be able to fix it in Melbourne. But Ballarat looks pretty big, so I might be able to fix it here. Clutch, on the other hand, is not cool. But anyway, let's hope it doesn't break. Because I don't have the strength to move a gearbox on my own without tools. I do have tools, but not a trolley jack, which is necessary to remove a transmission. Okay, so I've made it to Ballarat, which is about an hour west of Melbourne. And this car has started to have some problems, including the clutch. Luckily, there is a Burson's in Ballarat where I'm going to see if I can get a new clutch for it. It is not going to be fun changing the clutch because I'm only one man, and the clutch means you've got to pull the whole transmission out to get at it. But it is what it is. It has to be done because I ain't walking back. What else has happened? Oh yeah, on the way down from the border, the main highway was closed because of a bushfire, so I ended up having to go back roads to get to Ballarat, which wasn't too bad. It was actually alright because the roads in Victoria are nowhere near as good as the roads in Western Australia. The roads in South Australia seem to be better than the ones in Victoria, but not as good as the ones in Western Australia. Victoria has, in some of the roads, you actually have to pay to use. So the government has actually sold off their roads and privatised them, which is crazy. They're meant to be a bloody progressive government and they've sold their roads off. Like, come on, that's like, you need to have basic public infrastructure. But anyway, Victorian government sold their roads off, so you've got to pay a toll to drive down the roads. Glad I don't live in Victoria and have to pay their road tax too, because that would be like stupid. But yeah, that's really dumb, but I'm going to have to go into like the police station or maybe the road board or main roads department or whatever they call it here and get a permit so I can drive on the roads before I actually go to Melbourne without getting a massive fine, which is really great considering how shit the roads are in Victoria compared to the other two states I've been so far. But anyway, good thing about Victoria, free train station parking. So I'm parked here at the train station right now and I don't have to pay anything. In Western Australia, you got to pay. So that's good. Yeah. Get this clutch sorted. Oh, I've got to fix my thermostat too. Still running cold. I've blocked off more of the radiator. It's now got 2 rags in front of it. But yeah, still getting there. Maybe Melbourne tomorrow or maybe the day after. Today is Thursday. I plan to be in Melbourne by Friday. It may be Saturday, but that's okay. And then Canberra will be still planning on the 20th. Let's see how it goes. Fuel is I still got enough fuel to make it to Canberra. Homemade fuel. It's 50-50 mix, but I still got enough to get there. And there was an Aldi in town, which is really good. So this is a monument set up in Ballarat for, what would you say, dedicated to the people who found gold or celebrate the finding of gold in Ballarat. That's not real gold, obviously. But yeah, it's got a little setup on top. This is a statue of Queen Victoria, who was the monarch that Victoria was named after. And she reigned for, I think, the longest time of any queen other than Queen Elizabeth. 60-something years. This is the town hall in Ballarat. Clock tower, Australian flag. They're also flying the Eureka flag, which is also the Union flag. some sort of old, maybe it's like a silo or something, or a water tower. I don't know. It's in Ballarat, and they've reinforced the corners with steel because it's probably going to fall apart if they didn't. That's pretty cool. Ballarat Bunnings in Ballarat, right in from the highway. This was the former site of the old Star Hotel, as the story tells you in this plaque. There's a Cold Chisel song called Star Hotel. I'm not sure if it's about the same one. Maybe. Near this point was the first gold discovered in Ballarat. This was the start of the Australian gold rush, which transformed Australia and turned it into at least like a mining sort of country, with mining as one of the major industries, that and farming. And there's a creek down there. I had a little bit of a look for gold. I didn't find any. I don't have a detector or pan or anything. I have a miner's right, so if I found some I could keep it legally. But I didn't find any. Hopefully I was hoping I'd find enough to pay for a clutch. But no. Oh well, it's all good. You never try. You never know if you don't try, so I thought why not have a try looking for gold. So I've missed a train, but that's all good because there's a bar. Melbourne CBD at Southern Cross Station. Got the yellow Melbourne taxis. Some pretty cool designs for the buildings. Right in the centre of Melbourne. This is Melbourne, the capital of Victoria. This is the King George V Memorial. I've made it here by train. The car is still at Ballarat in the caravan park. It ain't going to make it any further. I'm just going to try to backtrack it. But yeah, this is the Melbourne Botanical Gardens. Currently in Melbourne, Victoria. This is the distillery where VB is made, which in my opinion is the best Victorian beer and one of the best beers of all, but still not as good as Swan. Somewhere down there is the MCG, which is the Melbourne Cricket Ground where all the footy grand finals are. So this is the MCG in Melbourne, which is where all the footy grand finals are and a lot of the test matches. It's basically their main sporting oval. Tonight it is being used for a concert, Taylor Swift concert, her Eras tour. I'm not going to the Taylor Swift concert, but I just so happen to be here on the night. But this will probably be a good end to my attempt of driving from Northern to Canberra on homemade fuel. And I think I'll end it with a Taylor Swift quote, considering Taylor Swift is playing here tonight. Diesel is desire, you were playing with fire. And yes, I was, and the car didn't make it, not due to the diesel, but due to the other problems. But that is going to be the end of this trip across Australia in Victoria. Okay, so this will be sort of like the final take on the trip. I'm back now. So what happened after I left Victoria? I tried to sell the car in Victoria. Well, first of all, I tried to get a clutch in Victoria. They didn't have one. They would have had to order one in, which could have taken weeks, which is time I did not have, and it would have cost a lot more in accommodation. So I ended up going trying to sell the car in Victoria. That didn't happen either. It's pretty hard to sell a Sangong in Victoria on a West Australian Rego with a dud clutch. so had no choice but had to drive it back. So basically cannonballed it whole way back, barely stopping, rev matching all the shifts because I couldn't use the clutch. And when I stopped, I had to park it like nose facing downhill to get it to start again, because otherwise if it was like slightly on an incline it just wouldn't start. The clutch just didn't have enough. But it made it. So, Ballarat, back to Northam with a broken clutch in 2.5 days. Almost non-stop. I stopped twice, and I did stop to get fuel 1 or 2 times as well. So that was pretty cool. So what's my sort of take? What do I think of all the different states? Do I recommend it? Yes, it's definitely worth driving across Australia and checking it out. All the states are different, at least the 3 I went to. I didn't make it to Canberra, so I can't say for Canberra. I was going to go through New South Wales, I can't say for that either, but I can say South Australia and Victoria. Adelaide's like Perth. West Australia has the best roads. Victoria has the best public transport system. Their trains are so cheap if you want a long distance train. Ballarat to Melbourne was $7 something return. Equivalent cost in West Australia, Perth to Northam, is $44 return. Just keep that into perspective. So that is probably one of the major benefits of Victoria. South Australia had a lot of point-to-point speed cameras. They're all, at least the ones I knew about, were all clearly marked. Western Australia, they hide the speed cameras because they're more about revenue. South Australia, I think they're actually trying to be more about lowering the speed, but they're probably still about revenue too. Now I'm getting political. I will stop that. My credit card decided to stop working along the trip. Luckily, I had spare cash to back it up, so I always have a backup, which is always good. But in particularly Victoria, there is a lot of card-only places, and this is not good when your card decides to die. You can have cash and you can't even afford to get anything because you got no card. So, I mean, cash is king, as they always say. It's good to have both options. Always carry cash and card when you go a long distance. Luckily, when I went back to South Australia, I went to the bank and withdrew cash enough to get me back across. But yeah, Victoria especially, a lot of card-only places. Cashless society ain't going to work in the future. It's always good to have a backup option. Caravan parks. Some of the caravan parks were good, some of them were bad. Most cost around $20, $25. The cheapest one was Victoria near the border, Kavana or something. That was $16. That was actually pretty decent. That was card only, so I had problems paying for it with a broken card. But I had to do it over the phone with like the details. Ballarat was the most expensive one. That was $55 a night. These are all unpowered sites. So yeah, $55 a night for an unpowered site. That is excessive, I think. But they had very good service in Ballarat. And they're all friendly. Will I do this again? Hell yeah, I will do this again. But I've got a new plan this time. This is going to be a fair while in the future. I'm going to have to save up a lot more chip oil to make more biodiesel, and I'm going to have to save a lot of money, and I'm going to have to fix my car, which currently doesn't go. Leyland Brothers in the 1960s, they went Shark Bay to Byron Bay, somewhere around here in New South Wales. That's the full transcontinental coast to coast. I'm going to do that. That's going to be my next biodiesel trip. This was such a good experience. I'm going to do it again. It's going to be a fair while, and by a fair while I mean years, to save up this money to do all of this, but that's going to be the plan, and it's going to be insane. I don't think anyone has ever done this trip solo before, and of course no one has ever done this trip on homemade fuel. It's only been done by people very few times, probably only a handful of times has it ever been done. So, to be the first one to do it solar and the first one to do it on homemade fuel will just be so cool. So, maybe 2026 or something like that, I'm going to do that trip. That's going to be great. That's going to be so good. The day before I was going to leave, I was at the pub, and guy walks in, Colin from the radio station, Triple M, and he said, do you want to, a few people knew about how I was going to go off on this trip tomorrow, and he was like, you know what, do you want to go on the radio? And I was like, yeah. So I ended up going on the radio. The day I left, in the morning, I left around midday, I was on the radio 3 more times, and that was pretty cool. I'd never been on the radio before. And then, because I was on the radio, I got like, I don't want to say famous, but like 5 minutes of fame sort of thing. So a few people tried to contact me, which was really cool. And one of the guys who contacted me was Chick, who has the camera museum. And the reason that he wanted to talk to me was because he also was into making biodiesel. So anyway, this is talking to Chick about biodiesel, and he makes a much more better version of biodiesel than what I make, but it's still pretty cool. So this is what happened. Okay, g'day Chick. So you are the owner of the camera museum in Meckering?
Yes, that's right. I've been here 29 years now.
And you're also an expert on biodiesel?
Yeah, I've been using bio for years, or up until about maybe 10 years ago. But yeah, I've been making bio and using it. It's great stuff.
And what do you think about my trip on biodiesel or homemade fuel across the country?
Go for it. I did it myself with my bio that I made. I left here with my Rodeo. I put a trailer on the back with a big tank on it, and I put 500 litres of bio in the tank. And I drove from here all the way across the Nullarbor to my sister's place in Bendigo, or near Bendigo. Left the trailer there, made sure my tank was full, and drove down went down to Melbourne, crossed on the ferry to Tasmania, and drove halfway around Tasmania before I had to fill up with commercial fuel.
So, what do you think the future holds for biodiesel and other alternative fuels?
The way things are going at the moment, it's a bit difficult because as I said before, the more modern diesel, you can't use it because it affects the seals in the pump. If you can get around that problem, bio has a part to play.
I'll explain the way I make it, because the way Chick makes this, he makes a much better version of biodiesel than I make. I make basically filtered ship oil mixed in with diesel, and it works.
It works,
but Chick is taking it to the next level of biodiesel manufacture. So, can you explain the way you make yours and how it's different to my fuel?
Well, basically what you're doing is pseudo-bio. It's not a true biodiesel. Any diesel motor will run on any form of light oil. So if you can get any oil fine enough to go through your injectors, it'll run. Now with what you're doing, you're basically thinning the oil down by mixing it with a bit of commercial diesel, keeping it thin enough to go through your injectors. Now in cold weather, it won't work because the glycerine in the vegetable oil will start to go thick. And it doesn't matter what you do, it's going to block up your filters and it's going to block up your injectors. The system I used was we stripped the glycerine out of the vegetable oil totally, so that there's no heavy glycerine left. What we're after is what we call the light oils, or the esters. And then in cold weather you have no problem. We used it down to, I think it was about -10 degrees, and it still didn't gel.
That's really good. You could use it in a place like Canada or something.
Use it anywhere you like.
Alright, so Chick has made a movie about biodiesel, how to make it yourself. Alright, so yeah, if anyone ever wants to talk to Chick, come down to the Camera Museum, the world's biggest camera on Meckering on Great Eastern Highway. It's just out of Northern. And yeah, they've got a big camera museum, including one there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, alright. Cheers, Chick.
No worries.
Did you know the world is upside down? Guess I'd better hold on. Now and then I turn my head around, 'cause I'm waiting just for you. And I've been hopelessly shaking, I'm anticipating the news. Actions that are spoken inside out. I guess I get awakened just so I can save me from these crimes. In these serrated times, I am dragging back to blue. And I am hopelessly shaken, I'm anticipating the news.
I washed the car today, and like 1 hour ago.
You're gonna need to wash your car again.
This has been 2 hours, maybe. How long have we been out for?
2.5 hours.
So it's about 3 hours since I washed it already. A mess.
It's actually my mum's cousin. He filmed a movie where he only ate McDonald's for
He was
ages.
that guy.
That's my mum's cousin.
The guy who did it for a whole month.
Yeah. And then he's actually vegan or something like that.
Remember, kids, don't try this at home. It's stupid.